everyone. My name is Dylan. I am unemployed. I'm actually a freelancer. And the reason why I look homeless is because I only shaved 3 days ago. But I wanted to do this video and I decided to just rapid fire it. And it's 5 things I wish I'd known about Portugal before moving here. A little bit of backstory. I've been living here for about 3 years now. It's probably been longer, but who's counting time because of the pandemic? And basically, there's a few things that stood out to me, and I know my experience might be different from others, but I'm also friends with not only Portuguese people, but also foreigners that have moved here like I did. So I kind of bounced some things off of them, and this is the things I learned. Please note that things do improve. For example, when I was using Amazon 3 years ago, you're lucky that you received your package in 2 weeks. Nowadays, you can get Prime, and it's pretty good. I mean, it's not like American Good where you can get the same day, but you can get it about 2 days or something like that with Prime. So let's get started. The first one, learning the language. There's the difference between Portuguese that you're probably familiar with that's very popular, which is Brazilian Portuguese. And for me, as a foreigner and outsider, I really don't care. I mean, to me, it's like British English and American English. Yes, there are differences, but we still can figure out and communicate with each other. But there's a bit of a thing with them with Brazilian Portuguese where, like their Portuguese is completely different and stuff. So, one thing about learning the language, and you should learn the language, is having to pick like the right course, which is Portugal Portuguese or European Portuguese, because there is a difference. And the difference is like at the surface level is bom dia, which is how they pronounce good morning, where Brazilian is bom dia. And first time going here, I was corrected right away that that was the wrong way of saying in Portuguese good morning. But you live and you learn. So that's the first thing is learn the language right away. Don't be like me and wait 3 years before actually speaking the language. And I'm still taking courses. I'm taking one-on-one classes with a teacher, and it's going pretty good. I mean, my mom has the same teacher, and she started, I think, like a month ahead of me, and she has advanced where she can have some simple conversations with people and just get around. All right, so number two, having a job beforehand. As I joked about being a freelancer, it's very difficult to have a job, especially if you only speak English. And you would think that there's a lot of demand for English speakers, but really what they want is English and Portuguese because they want to communicate to you in Portuguese while you can help some English only customers and stuff like that. It's very difficult here. Part of it, which I'll get into the third point, is a lot of times when you email them, unlike American companies where they have gotten back to me within a few days, and they tell you like, "Hey, I'll give you some feedback about your application and stuff," but they never do. They never let you know that they received it. They don't answer phone calls a lot of times. So that's something to think about is if you're thinking about moving here, you're going to just have more problems because you're starting your whole life over and you're trying to find a job. So don't do what I did. I have different skills like IT, photography, and stuff like that. And despite the new skills I learned also with web development, it's very difficult to find a job. So your best bet is to get the job first, then you can get a work visa, and that way it's easier to get your citizenship in the future. Speaking of citizenship and stuff like that, bureaucracy. So this is not an understatement, but bureaucracy is really bad here. And other countries have it, but this is my experience. It's really bad. And it's for the simplest things. So, not to get into it, like doctor's appointments can be a pain in the butt to get done. Uh, just everything is just a huge pain. Like, there's this overcomplicated process with everything. Even like getting a rewards card for like your supermarket is like a huge pain in the butt. Just things are just extra painful to go through and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind. And if you can deal with it, then this country's for you. Um, for example, IKEA. Let's say you want to deliver something, but you're not sure if they'll deliver in your area. We asked 3 different people, 3 separate people, in the span of 15 minutes, And we got three different answers about if they could ship to us. One said, I don't know, one said no, and one said yes. And that's going to be like that everywhere. Whether you're trying to get some paperwork sorted. If anything is not within perfectly within what they are looking for, I know that's very bland and very bleak, but like very broad, but it's true. If it's not exactly the way it is, they don't know what to do with themselves, and then they all talk. You just go under the expectation that they're not going to do what you want to do, and that everybody doesn't know what's going on. It's very true. And as soon as it's something out of place, they won't continue further. They don't use common sense to figure out a problem. For example, I was trying to make a doctor's appointment that my doctor asked me to call this number to make an appointment with them. And because I lived in a different area, which is next to the area of this, not hospital, but clinic, is they wouldn't make me an appointment because I am not in the same town, even though I'm right next door. And I was asking for a specific doctor. Yeah, they just don't think outside the box. So you're going to deal with that with everything. So just keep that in mind. There's probably more things about bureaucracy, but that's pretty much the lowdown. Everything's very complicated and it's very stupid. Number 4, expect things not to work. Apps, websites, just general things that we take for granted don't work. It's pretty funny because I use ePortugal a lot to like look up things, and that's the thing is like it's very hard to find laws and stuff. And if you're Portuguese and you know a way to look up, index all the laws and stuff, let me know because I really want to know because I'm very curious about that. But like for example, I was trying to get something to work with my citizens card, and the guy was like, "Okay, well we could switch it to English," and he was on video call. And which, by the way, ePortugal is really good. Make sure you set an appointment that way you don't mess stuff up. It's very great. But anyway, I'm going on the site and he's like, "Okay, switch it to English." And when I did that, nothing translated through. Only a few buttons and stuff. And he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, I could explain it to you." So, and that happens with everything. OLX, I'm always having issues with it, breaking and stuff. The app crashes. I used a private hospital, um, Cuff, Kuf. That's how they pronounce it. It's Cuff if you're English. And like it kept bringing up the terms of service while I already accepted it while I was trying to make the account. Like there's just a lot of things that I feel like they don't really look into and test. Another example was I was in Algarve, and I was at the most like corner of Portugal. I forgot what it's called, but basically, I was over there, and the sign says use your Visa card, you know, if possible. So we go ask when we're giving our card. He's like, "Oh, we don't accept card." I'm like, "Well, the sign says this, and why does it say that?" "Oh, our card machine is broken," you know. And then later, when when we left and the place and we were passing by the same booth, there was different people, and this time they were wearing like the official shirts and stuff, and they basically had the machine working. So just expect things like just not to work and things are all over the place. And speaking of which, I forgot to put this in my list, but always check your receipts, what you paid for things, because even though Portugal is the safest, third safest world country, uh, it's there's some things like with scams and stuff. It's very common. So that's another thing I forgot to put in this list is in the supermarket. Make sure that you're not overcharged for something or charged for things that don't exist. I don't know how they're taking the money. Maybe they take it out somehow, or they put the things that they want to have on the list. But that's very common, and some of them actually brag about it. Because my dad, he comes back right after, and he caught one of them bragging about how he overcharged my dad for something. So it's very common. So check your receipt. Also, if there's a restaurant with a menu with no prices, don't go there. And if you're having a hard time, either ask for a complaints book so you can write a complaint. And if they refuse, call the police. 112. Just call the police. Don't. It's not even worth it. Just call them, explain the whole situation because a lot of scams happen here, unfortunately. And it really makes the country look bad, but there's a lot of good people in it too. So number five is culture. So Portugal is very laid back. So what I mean by that is, in the middle of the day between 12 to 3, in some places, we'll have a lunch break. One time I was opening up an account, a bank account, and the guy's like, "Oh, can you come back like in 3 hours?" And I was like, "What?" And so yeah, he's like, "Well, I want to have my lunch and stuff." But I was talking to some people, and they were saying that it depends on the area. Where I was, it was kind of like out there, so it's a bit different. Another thing too is like apparently there's a culture here, and I think it's like European because that's what a lot of people have told me. Is people are not like the U.S. where it with customer service where they're super nice and they're trying to get a tip and stuff like that. Speaking about tips, you don't really have to tip people. It's not like you don't have to do like 20%. You can round up the bill if you want by like €1 or €2, but you don't have to tip. But going back to culture is like they're not like your best friend like they are in the U.S. or they act in the U.S. So oftentimes they're just like very rude. I had one time I just wanted to ask for a bathroom, and the person like ignored me for a whole minute. And the person that wasn't even working there but just goes there is a local. He's like, "Oh yeah, the keys are right there," and then he told me where the bathroom was. So it wasn't even his job, and he was super nice and helped me. But the lady just ignored me, even though I was speaking in Portuguese. So it's like a very common thing where rudeness is very common. But once again, this is a few people that are just very rude and stuff like that. But oftentimes, it's very good. So just to summarize, laid back culture. Like they don't work as much and stuff like that. It doesn't mean that they're not hardworking. Oftentimes they are. It just means that they take breaks and stuff very seriously and lunch breaks. It's a different culture, and typically people are very laid back. For example, you go to a coffee shop, unless if it's Starbucks or a chain. You usually there's no to-go cups. You just sit there, you have coffee, and that's another thing too. I really like, which I'm not going to like when I go back to the U.S. is the restaurants. Um, Usually in the U.S. they can shuffle you out as soon as you're done. There, you could sit there all day, and you could have ordered like one drink, and they'll let you stay. Really nice. It might change in Lisbon because Lisbon's becoming more like America in some ways, but it's just really like nice with the way back culture. And there's some other things I'm probably missing, but I'm just running this all off the top of my head. But that's pretty much it. So let me know if you guys want more videos like this, because I notice a lot of people are wanting to move to Portugal, and I kind of want to give them like the real deal about what it's like to be here. So let me know if you want more videos like this, and if you're Portuguese, I do appreciate any feedback and stuff like that. But this is based on my experiences and experiences of others that are my friends. Overall, I really think that for the most part, as long as it's not their job, they're very nice and accommodating. When it is their job, they kind of like push you away and stuff. But yeah, it's in general, I really like Portugal, and if I wanted to move back, I would have done it already. So thanks for watching.